The massive Xyloxian battleships hung in the darkness of space, their crystalline surfaces reflecting distant starlight. Lieutenant June Park watched the alien fleet approach on the holographic display of the UES Resolute. His hands remained steady, fingers barely moving across the control panel. Around him, the human ship's crew worked with remarkable calm. No shouting, no panic, just focused precision. The alien sensors would later report something strange. Every human seemed relaxed, almost amused. The first wave of plasma torpedoes erupted from the Xyloxian vessels. Bright green energy streaked across the black void, designed to inspire terror in any known species. But not humans. "Incoming," called the tactical officer. Her voice wasn't scared. It was matter of fact, almost like she was announcing lunch. "Was ready?" June's smile grew slightly wider. Most would call it inappropriate. In the face of potential annihilation, he looked like someone who had just heard a good joke. The Xyloxian commander, monitoring the engagement from his flagship, felt a strange confusion. His species had conquered hundreds of civilizations. They had weapons that could shatter planets. Yet these humans, they looked different. "Evasive pattern Delta," June commanded. The ship moved with impossible grace, sliding between plasma bursts like a dancer. Each movement was calculated, precise, almost playful. On the alien communication channels, translators caught something unexpected. Human pilots weren't expressing fear or issuing grave combat instructions. They were talking casually, laughing, making jokes. "Nice shot, Michael. Did you see how I dodged that? Gonna buy you a drink after this, Chen." "Ha, they call that a weapon?" The Xyloxian tactical analysts began recording everything. This wasn't standard combat behavior. This was something entirely new. June's ship counterattacked. Railgun rounds, simple, devastating human technology, sliced through alien shields like they were paper. Each impact was accompanied by a human cheer, not of bloodlust, but of genuine excitement. Direct hit, target neutralized. The aliens watched, in growing bewilderment. These humans weren't just fighting, they were enjoying the battle. One junior Xyloxian officer turned to his commander. "They're smiling," he said, mandibles clicking in confusion. "Why are they smiling?" The commander had no answer. More human ships joined the engagement. Each moved with a combination of mathematical precision and what could only be described as joy. They didn't just respond to threats, they anticipated them, played with them. A small squadron of human fighters performed a complex maneuver that would have been considered mathematically impossible by Xyloxian flight protocols. They spun, twisted, and reformed in a pattern that looked more like an aerial dance than a combat formation. "Check this out," one pilot shouted. "Watch this move." The Xyloxian fleet was experiencing something unprecedented. These weren't just soldiers. They were performers. Warriors who treated combat like a high-stakes game, where danger was just another source of excitement. June's smile never wavered. His crew moved like a single organism, each person knowing exactly what to do, when to do it, no fear, no hesitation. As the battle continued, the aliens began to realize something terrifying. These humans weren't just fighting to survive. They were fighting because they wanted to. The UES Resolute's communication systems picked up alien transmissions. Confusion, panic, disbelief. June knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had arrived in the galactic stage, and they were going to make an entrance nobody would ever forget. The Xyloxian research facility was unlike any interrogation chamber. In the known universe, stark white walls, advanced scanning equipment, and a sense of clinical detachment surrounded Lieutenant Kira Lee. She sat comfortably, hands relaxed, a slight smile playing on her lips. Darak, the lead alien interrogator, paced around her. His multiple eyes studied her with intense concentration. Humans were supposed to be scared. Humans were supposed to show weakness. But Kira Lee seemed more like she was waiting for a casual meeting than an alien interrogation. "Why do you not fear us?" Darak finally asked, his translator rendering the words in perfect English. Kira laughed, not a nervous laugh, Not a scared laugh. A genuine, warm laugh that seemed completely out of place in this sterile environment. Fear, she repeated. This is just another Tuesday for us. The alien researchers furiously recorded every micro-expression, every subtle movement. They had captured hundreds of soldiers before. None had behaved like this. Darak pushed harder. He activated neural scanners, sophisticated technology that could break down most species' mental defenses in minutes. But Kira's brain patterns remained stable. More than stable. They showed signs of what the aliens could only describe as excitement. Your species is about to be destroyed, Darak stated, believing this would provoke some emotional response. Kira raised an eyebrow. Are we, though? Her confidence was unlike anything the Xyloxians had encountered. Most captured soldiers would beg, plead, show terror. But Kira seemed like she was enjoying a challenging puzzle. The research team began analyzing her psychological profile. They discovered something that terrified them more than any weapon. Humans transformed stress into motivation. What would break other species only made humans more determined. Communication logs from human military channels revealed a strange pattern. Even during critical moments, soldiers maintained high morale. They joked. They laughed. They treated potential death as an inconvenience rather than a threat. One intercepted conversation showed two soldiers discussing potential combat scenarios, like they were planning a weekend game. If we get surrounded, we'll use the Delta formation. Sounds fun. Want to bet who takes out more ships? You're on. The Xyloxian psychologist couldn't comprehend this approach. War was serious. War was about survival. How could anyone treat it like a competitive sport? Kira continued to sit, calm and collected. When offered water, she thanked the alien guard. When asked complex questions about human military strategy, she answered with a mix of technical precision and casual humor. Your defenses are impressive, she told Darak at one point. But have you considered how much fun we're having figuring them out? Fun. The word seemed to echo through the research facility. The aliens had no equivalent concept in their language. Days passed. The interrogation continued. But with each hour, it became clear that Kira wasn't being interrogated. She was subtly turning the tables, making the aliens question themselves. Her psychological resilience wasn't just a defense mechanism. It was a weapon more powerful than any physical technology. The Xyloxian High Command received the initial reports. Confusion turned to concern. Concern was quickly becoming fear. These humans weren't just another species to be conquered. They were something entirely new. A species that didn't just survive challenges, they enjoyed them. Kira Lee continued to smile, and with each passing moment, the aliens felt their understanding of warfare, psychology, and survival crumbling around them. Humanity had arrived, and they were playing by entirely different rules. The space around Proxima Centauri erupted into chaos. Thousands of ships filled the void, energy weapons painting deadly rainbows against the black backdrop of space. Among them, human fighters, moved with impossible grace. Pilot Hyun Kim's voice crackled through the communication channel. "This is awesome," he shouted, his fighter spinning between massive plasma bursts. Most pilots would be terrified. Hyun sounded like he was on a roller coaster. The Xyloxian fleet had brought their most advanced weapons: quantum disruptors, gravitational pulse cannons, weapons that had destroyed civilizations. The humans treated them like target practice. You see that?" Hyun called to his wingman. "Watch this move." His fighter twisted impossibly, sliding between two massive alien battleships. The maneuver defied every known law of space combat. The alien ships barely had time to adjust their targeting systems before Hyun was gone. Tactical screens across. Both fleets showed something unprecedented. The human ships weren't just defending. They were playing with the Xyloxian fleet. Each dodge, each attack looked more like a complex dance than military engagement. Another human pilot, Elena Rodriguez, tracked multiple enemy ships simultaneously. Her hands moved across controls with impossible speed. "Anyone want to bet on high kill count?" she asked, her voice light and playful. The Xyloxian command watched in growing horror. These weren't soldiers. They were something else entirely. Massive human battleships moved with a combination of mathematical precision and what could only be described as joy. They didn't just respond to threats. They anticipated them, played with them, turned deadly combat into a high-stakes game. Explosion after explosion marked the battlefield. But the human communication channels remained calm. Jokes, laughter, casual conversation mixed with complex tactical instructions. Nice shot, Michael. Watch my 6. Drinks on me if I take out that command ship. The aliens couldn't understand. How could they be so calm? So happy? Yun's fighter continued its impossible dance. He dodged a quantum pulse that would have vaporized any other ship in milliseconds. "This is why I love my job," he shouted, performing a spin that defied all known physics. Human tactical computers worked faster than alien systems. Each movement was calculated, each response instantaneous. But it wasn't just cold mathematics. There was something else, a spark of creativity, of enjoyment that no alien system could replicate. The battle raged for hours. Normally, such an engagement would break most species' morale, but the human fleet remained steady. More than steady, they seemed to be having the time of their lives. Xyloxian commanders watched their most advanced weapons become useless. Human ships moved like living things, anticipating attacks before they happened. Each pilot treated the battle like an elaborate game of chess, always 3 moves ahead. "They're not even trying," one alien commander muttered in disbelief. "They're playing," and play they did. Human fighters wove between massive battleships, taking out critical systems with surgical precision. Each successful hit was met with cheers, high fives, casual jokes. Elena Rodriguez tracked her kill count casually, like she was scoring points in a video game. 23, she reported. "Someone beat that." The Xyloxian fleet began to break, not from physical damage, but from something far more terrifying. They were facing an enemy that didn't just fight, an enemy that enjoyed fighting. As the battle continued, one thing became crystal clear. Humanity had arrived in the galactic stage, and they were playing by rules nobody else understood. Hyun Kim's laughter echoed across the communication channels. Another explosion, another impossible maneuver, another day at the office. The Xyloxian research teams worked around the clock. Thousands of communication logs, battle recordings, and psychological profiles covered their analysis chambers. They were trying to understand something impossible: human behavior. Captain Wu Sung's recorded battle commentary became their primary obsession. In one recording, he joked while his ship was surrounded by enemy vessels. "Who wants to bet on my survival?" He laughed, his voice calm and excited. The aliens discovered something terrifying. Humans didn't just manage stress, they transformed it into pure motivation. What would destroy other species only made humans more powerful. They analyzed psychological profiles of human soldiers. Normal species would show fear, anxiety, potential breakdown under extreme pressure. These humans showed something else entirely. 1. Research log noted: subject demonstrates increased performance when danger increases. Psychological response defies all known biological survival mechanisms. Another alien researcher watched a recording of a human medical team treating wounded soldiers. Instead of panic, they worked with precision and occasional jokes. A medic treating a serious wound actually made his patient laugh. "This isn't normal," one Xyloxian scientist muttered. "This is something else." They discovered humans had a unique psychological mechanism. Stress didn't paralyze them, it energized them. Danger wasn't a threat, it was a challenge. Military training. Logs revealed something shocking. Human soldiers were taught to view challenges as opportunities. Pain was temporary, fear was a choice, survival was a game to be won. One intercepted training manual read, "Embrace the chaos. Control your mind. Turn fear into fuel." The research teams worked harder. They needed to understand. How could a species treat potential death so casually? They discovered humans had complex psychological defense mechanisms. Humor was a weapon. Laughter was a shield. Stress became energy. Recordings showed human soldiers in impossible situations, surrounded, outnumbered. Most species would surrender. These humans planned counterattacks and cracked jokes. "Nice day for a fight," one soldier said while bullets flew around him. The aliens realized humans had evolved a unique survival strategy. They didn't just resist psychological warfare, they turned it into their own weapon. Culture played a big role. Human stories celebrated underdogs. Their history was filled with impossible victories. Every challenge was just another story waiting to be written. One alien researcher found an ancient human book about survival. The message was clear: never give up, always find a way. Treat life like an adventure. Xyloxian Command began to understand. These weren't just soldiers. They were a species that had weaponized their own psychology. Stress didn't break humans. It made them stronger. Pain didn't stop humans. It motivated them. Fear wasn't a weakness. It was fuel. The research teams worked faster. They needed to understand. But with each discovery, they realized something terrifying. Humans weren't just another species to be conquered. They were something entirely new. A species that could turn the universe's worst challenges into their greatest strength. A species that would never ever give up. A species that would always find a way to survive. And maybe, just maybe, enjoy the ride. The Xyloxian researchers looked at their data. They had thousands of recordings, millions of analysis points. But they were no closer to understanding humans. Because some things can't be explained. Some things can only be experienced. The Xyloxian High Council met in absolute silence. Holographic displays showed human military capabilities, psychological profiles, and battle recordings. Something had to change. Diplomatic envoy Yoon Park arrived on their massive central platform. She looked calm, almost relaxed, a stark contrast to the nervous alien leadership. "We're here to talk," she said simply. The lead counselor, a massive creature with multiple eyes, studied her carefully. Humans had destroyed half their fleet, defeated their most advanced weapons, and now they wanted to talk? Yoon smiled. That smile again. The smile that had confused their entire civilization. "Your technology is impressive," she began, "but you're looking at everything wrong." The aliens listened. They had no choice. Humans weren't interested in total conquest. They wanted challenge, interaction, exploration. The universe was their playground, and conflict was just another game. One Xyloxian researcher asked the question, burning in everyone's mind. "Why aren't you destroying us completely?" Yoon laughed, a genuine warm laugh that seemed to fill the massive chamber. "Because that would be boring," she said. The diplomatic discussions revealed something shocking. Humans wanted cultural exchange. They wanted to learn, to understand, to grow. The Xyloxians realized humans saw the universe differently. Every challenge was an opportunity. Every conflict a chance to improve. They didn't want enemies. They wanted partners. Military recordings showed human soldiers treating defeated enemies with respect, helping injured alien troops, sharing food, telling jokes. "We're not here to conquer," Yoon explained. "We're here to explore, to grow, to understand." The Xyloxian leadership began to comprehend something radical. Humans weren't a threat to be eliminated. They were a force of nature to be understood. Their psychological resilience wasn't a weapon. It was a way of life. Cultural exchange programs began. Human scientists shared knowledge. Xyloxian researchers learned about human adaptability. Both species discovered something unexpected. They could learn from each other. Yoon's final presentation showed something remarkable. Human history was filled with impossible victories, turning challenges into opportunities, finding hope in the darkest moments. "The universe is big," she told the council. "Big enough for everyone." The Xyloxian leader made a decision that would change everything. They would not continue the war. They would learn. Human ships began helping rebuild Xyloxian infrastructure, not as conquerors. As partners, pilot Hyun Kim helped train Xyloxian fighter pilots. His lessons weren't just about technology, they were about attitude. Fear is a choice, he told them. The universe is your playground. Research teams discovered something unexpected. Human creativity was their greatest weapon, not technology, not strength, but the ability to imagine, to adapt, to find joy in challenge. The war ended not with a massive battle, but with understanding. Humans brought something the Xyloxians had never experienced, the idea that conflict could be more than destruction. It could be growth. As diplomatic ships traveled between worlds, something changed. The galaxy watched. Another species had arrived. And they played by different rules. Rules that said, challenges are opportunities. Stress is fuel. Fear is a choice. The Xyloxian Confederation had learned something important. Humans weren't just another species. They were something else entirely. Force of nature, a civilization that turned the universe's worst challenges into their greatest strength. And they were just getting started. Yoon Park's final words echoed through the massive council chamber. A simple message that would change everything. We're here to play.